Well, say what? I can't. There's so much news this weekend. I can't believe how much news I've already been able to spring on the entire world this weekend. We had Larry Goldberg on Friday, who absolutely knocked it out of the park with his ideas with regard to how the it's going to be an operating system that Tesla sells to Ford and others, not just full self-driving, but the entire operating system. Then we have Brian Wang on Saturday morning talking about, well, I'm not even going to say it here because it would be too crazy to try to go into the details of the next big future that he's envisioning at Tesla and what that's going to mean to the numbers. So now, one more time, we're
Sure.
going to tee up Brian White. Glad to have you back on the show, Brian. I know you're going to also completely blow minds.
It's an absolute truth. And Randy, it is always a pleasure to be on your show.
I enjoy it immensely.
Yeah. We learned some unbelievable things in the last week, didn't
Were
we?
they really just unbelievable, or could they have been?
Unbelievable. They
Or could
were
they have been?
they were hard to wrap your head around. They were, I don't know, inconceivable.
Oh, they were inconceivable.
He said the thing.
You had to say that. All right. So first of all, I read somewhere, I saw some video somewhere, I saw some headline about Giga Berlin that was unexpected.
Yeah.
I think you broke it. I don't think anybody was even close to being ahead of you on this news. Explain to me exactly in shorter than you did in your amazing video on the subject. What is happening at Giga Berlin?
So Tobias Lind is one of the two active drone pilot teams out there, and he was able to find the permits for the expansion. And we were seeing that it's going in 3 phases. And he went as far as to, on this week's drone footage, show an overlay of where some of the buildings will be. The big one as well. Phase one is stuff we're filling out now. We're working in the northeast corner, and they're going to be adding buildings next to the other buildings. But then at the end of it is the third part of phase two, which is going to be a 700 meter by 700 meter factory. And I saw someone refer to as, oh, only 700 by 700 meter. Hey, you've seen a big rectangle. Get ready for the big Tesla mega box, because this is even bigger. And what we've got going on there is it's huge. It's going to be the biggest factory in the world.
Oh my God.
Certainly the largest single building factory. It's when you look at that, that's 5 million square feet for the footprint. And based on other factories that I've tracked, that's going to equate to 10, 12 million square feet once you add in the higher floors. It's going to be a very big deal. And that's in addition to the factory that's already there. That's already 6, 7 million square feet in total.
And that's second phase, or that's third phase, or?
So the giant one is phase two, part
Phase two.
three.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Because they're not ready for it.
I see.
They're not ready for it. You have to, Elon said, we're going to get Giga Nueva Leon up and running, dialed in, and then replicate it out elsewhere.
Oh, I see.
There's a lot of that you can simulate and estimate. There were lessons learned building Texas and Berlin at the same time. They
Sure.
are slightly different factories,
Uh-huh.
but I wouldn't be surprised to see them break ground within the next 7 to 12 months.
Okay. And Nueva Leon, do we know yet whether it is going to be larger than Texas? Because there was a lot of discussion about the pictures of the buildings, but is there any information that now gives us more of an idea of the actual footprint?
There isn't. We know the land is twice the size of Texas, but that's because they always need more land. When they went to Shanghai, we looked at those 210 acres and said, "Oh, it's vast. It'll never." And then they built the factory. Like, yeah, it's just a little corner. Oh, it's full. It's over full. And they bought Berlin, and it's about 700 acres, I want to say. And oh, that's way too. Look at it. Look at the chart, the site map. It is gonna be full. And then Texas, 22,000 plus acres, 2,400 once you add in all the other parcels they added since then. It's huge. It's too big. No one's out. Well, we can see the whole thing is under development at some stage. there is no amount of land that is adequate when it comes to these factories. So they keep buying bigger parcels and making grander plans. And so far, the demand seems to indicate that that is the correct course of action.
Right. So now if we look at Berlin, go back to Berlin, and we know that they said we want to go from 500,000 car capacity to a million car capacity. Is there any, do you have any speculation right now whether that would mean Model 3 might be built there? Last time we talked, you said you didn't think so, but any update on that one?
In Berlin?
In Berlin.
I don't see a reason to build Model 3 in Berlin.
Okay.
China is going to be cranking out Highlands at a pace hitherto unseen. In the Berlin video, I did have a little bonus at the end where I found what I believe are Highlands parked in plain sight. They're all behind security fences and they're all under car covers, which tells me that's not a thing you do. That's not just something that is just done. There's something under them, and we don't know what, but we have a pretty good guess. And so far, China has been able to supply Europe with a steady stream of Model 3s. The market for Model 3s in China is not infinite. These will come out of the factory at a higher pace than ever before, meaning they should be able to satisfy Europe with their capacity.
All right.
And even if they can't, even if they're a little bit short, it doesn't justify building a whole new assembly facility just to offset, a 10, 20% shortfall.
Right.
All that shortfall will do is keep margins high.
Gotcha. Okay. So then the second phase of this conversation, because there will be a third phase, and anybody that doesn't wait for the third phase will really be missing it, because I don't even know. It's such a secret. It's so under wraps that Brian wouldn't even tell me what's going to happen in third phase. So second phase is there was this confusion, apparently, over what happened at the earnings call on Wednesday. And Elon drove the market down 10 points. The other 15 to 20 points that went down had nothing to do with the call, had everything to do with macros in the market and everything else, because Apple and everybody else was down dramatically on Thursday as well. So, but the 10 points that Elon is responsible for seem to be mostly around the issue of, well, we're not going to build as many cars in the third quarter as we did in the second quarter, or not as many as you hoped for. Or what did you take away from the call, and or what are you seeing in terms of production for the third quarter?
So I'm going to tell you a secret, and this is just between you and me. So don't tell anybody else, but I am clearly a time traveler.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't let it out. And I know you won't, because I've seen the future. It's just between you and me and whoever's watching. I was very, very close on production and deliveries. I was very close on production and deliveries.
I know.
Yeah.
You were it.
I was it. And on earnings per share, I missed by 2 pennies.
I know.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And on my Q3 production estimate, I said it's not going to be a record. And a lot of people looked at my analysis and said, I had two sides. I had people saying, you should be honest and say that it's going to be a record. It's always a record. And then I had people saying, I appreciate you lying and sandbagging and pulling it down because we know it's going to be a record. And I said, no, the numbers are the numbers. I have seen the future, and the future is there's going to be downtime for Model 3 retooling with the introduction of the Highland, almost certainly this quarter, and then Elon confirmed it.
Yes.
So at some point, people might figure out that I actually know what I'm talking about.
Oh, no, forget that. No.
Well, I am a well-kept secret, and I'm just glad that it's safe between just you and me and whoever's watching.
Yeah, the three or four people that watch my show. That's it. Yeah.
So the question was, what are we looking at for Q3
Right.
and then Q4?
Yes.
How much of a springboard do we get going into Q4? So for deliveries, if you look back over the last 3-4 quarters, inventory has been increasing.
Yes.
Every quarter.
Yes.
So if there's a limited amount of downtime, we could have non-record production, but record deliveries.
Oh, yes.
They could just clear it down to nothing.
Yes.
Empty out all the showrooms as they did at the end of 2019, where you couldn't, there were just no cars. You'd have to get them still damp from the factory. Yeah. So that's possible. But the question of when will the ramp pick back up? So important to remember, Model 3 is only the second best selling car that they have.
Right.
So if it drops a bit, Model Y could offset it. I believe it's going to drop more than a bit. I believe retooling will be at least 2 weeks, maybe 4. And that would mean a lot more downtime. So going into Q4, the question is, will it be a record? And my assumption is yes. The question will be...
No, not Q4. Let's go back to Q3.
Oh, still in Q3?
Yeah, well, because you didn't give me your number for Q3. So what is the production number for Q3?
I haven't revised it since my
Okay.
July 3rd estimate, so
Okay.
I want to say I was at 472? I don't remember.
So
We'll have to-
ballpark. So in the ballpark of
It's-
Q2,
It's in the ballpark, but lower. Mhm.
but a little lower. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
because other things are going to begin ramping. The second and third lines in Texas for Model Y will begin ramping. It is likely the Model 2 and 3, or the Model Y 2 and 3 lines in Berlin have already started ramping. Those will offset quite a bit of Model 3 downtime. And from that video I made about Berlin, showing the Highland out there, it seems to confirm my belief that they will be only shutting down one line at a time for the Model 3.
I see.
Which would be fantastic. It would allow a lot more comfort.
So that would, so then on the delivery side, as you just pointed out, we've got what, 100,000 or something inventory out there. Is that a ballpark?
It's 16 or 17 days, so it's not 100,000.
But on
It'd be
the order of
maybe 50 to 60.
only 50 to 60.
I would guess.
What's the
it's
day? What's the daily?
2 weeks. It's 17 divided by 90. So that's what percentage, right? 20-ish% of a quarter. No, maybe that would be 100,000.
Yeah, I think
guess
it's
you're
around
right.
100,000. I think it's around 100,000 in inventory. So if we sucked up even 40,000 of that, then we could be looking at 30,000 over last quarter. Maybe I'm actually kind of plugging in my numbers about 40,000 deliveries, 30 to 40,000 more deliveries than last quarter.
And get ready for a fire sale on the stock, because it will be framed as a huge problem.
Well, if we talk about it enough in advance, maybe it'll be
Maybe.
okay.
Maybe we can temper expectations.
All right, now, so
but a lot
this
of
is-
the real quick, a lot of the short-term swings you see are not investors.
Yeah.
Real investors are not jumping out the day after amazing earnings, after Wall Street expectations were beat by 14%. That's not. This is algo traders. This is short-term gamblers, and they're doing short-term gambling things. And if
Yes.
you are a short-term gambler, don't, because the house always wins. You might get lucky a hand or two, but the longer you sit at the table, the more assured your losses will be.
All right, so now that was phase 2. I think phase 3 is the business of what's going to happen in the fourth quarter. And phase 3 of this discussion includes a big surprise. Do I have this right?
I don't know. You tell me. What?
Well, you said there was going to be a surprise with regard to how things would be made or what that might have to do with.
So the question is how. We know that the compact is going to be using an unboxed process.
Yes.
Where we saw the first hints of it at the Giga Berlin grand opening when the structural battery pack was there and the seats were already mounted on it. Huh. That's an interesting idea. That just makes sense. So Unboxed says, don't stop there. Put the carpets on. Put the rear seats on the rear casting. Why are we doing all these things after it's a closed box? Let's do them while it's still open so it's easy. Are we going to see that with the Highland? And my belief is we will see a light version. We won't see a full Unboxed because that hasn't been dialed in. That procedure will not become standard until the compact is out, according to Tesla. But if there's something that just makes sense, something like the seats on the battery, they'll do that. Something like the rear seats on the casting, they might do that as well. So we will, I believe, see bits of that, and that will speed up the line. It will increase margin. It will reduce the time from raw goods in one door to finished cars out the other. And if you can build a car and get it into a customer's hands in under 30 days, the cost of goods was zero. You didn't have to finance it. You didn't have to use your own money because you got paid for it before that bill was even due.
On the what do you want to call it? The cash flow side, the
On the
cost
cash flow side. And that makes everything start improving. Last quarter, they paid something like $200 million in interest, but they also received something like $200 million in interest from money they have just parked.
Right.
So that's all pretty good. Will we see Unboxed for the Highland? I think we'll see Unboxed Light.
Okay. All right. And so, given that, and given I don't know what you expect in the fourth quarter in terms of production, they said Shanghai is maxed, and there's no plan for it to be more than it currently is this year. Is that your understanding?
No. No, because we're going to see irregularity because there will be some reduction while they're retooling.
Yes.
But Model 3 Highland will increase their capacity. It will move out the door more quickly. They will be able to. So next year, if the factory doesn't change beyond revising the Model 3, next year will be a new record for Shanghai. Just because they're building simpler cars.
Quarter? But what about fourth quarter? I mean, I care about next year and the next year and the next year, but there's 3 people in the audience that really care about fourth quarter.
And I care about them, so I will answer your question. That must be them now. Or the bread is done. My Holly Hobby oven strikes again. The fourth quarter may be a record. The question that is unknown and unknowable at this point is how long it will take to ramp up the new line. I think we've seen enough lessons learned in the Model Y improvements that were done in Berlin 6 months ago and in Texas just last month. Those line upgrades were expected to be done in a matter of days, and in both cases, they were. I think Berlin got it done in 5 or 6 days. Texas got it done in 3 or 4.
Wow.
So when it comes to subtle changes, we know they can do the line very quickly. The lingering concern is it took a little bit longer for S and X to retool.
A lot longer.
A lot longer. It was supposed to be 2 weeks and ended up being a year for the X anyhow. So I'm hopeful that this will not be that sort of pain. But Q4, I do expect to be a record. But it may not be a record on the strength of Model 3 alone. It may be Model Y and the beginnings of Cybertruck that pick up the slack.
So do we see Model Y getting to full ramp in the fourth quarter? In Berlin or Austin or both?
No, it'll be a good 6 months. So I would say by the end of Q1, it'll have reached that ramp. And even that might be a little optimistic because when you triple the amount of parts you need, it more than triples the difficulty.
I see.
So but those numbers are still going to climb, and they're very popular cars, Randy. I don't know if you know this. Yeah. People buy them, and the claim that you see from some of the brilliant analysts is that nobody will buy them because everybody's already got one. I can tell you, there are an awful lot of people I know who would buy one today at today's prices if interest rates were a little bit lower.
Yeah.
So even if Tesla has to use the incentive of we'll help you buy down the interest rate, we'll get you the 4% loan, Tesla can do that. They can buy down the loan interest rate with points, and that will make it.
Did you see the news today? Oh, well, today, it's not today because people are seeing this probably on Sunday, but on Friday the news came out that they are now offering a 7-year loan. So there you go. See, you were prescient again. You saw into the past or the future. This is recorded on Friday and it's on Sunday. People are going to see it. Were you realizing it in the past or were you realizing it in the future of the past?
All of these things are if you know what you're looking for, very predictable. And the fact that so many people look at so many of my claims and think I'm crazy until they come true makes me wonder if I'm the crazy one, but I'm pretty sure I'm
Join
not.
the club. Join
Well,
the club. No kidding.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the Randy's Crazy Club.
So
Yeah, I'm actually the secretary
the
of the club.
secretary of the Reds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
anyway,
take the minutes.
7-year loans, and the screenshot that we saw, because I didn't look at I didn't go ahead and go to the website, but the screenshot I saw had it at 6.7%. I'd like to get lots of 7-year loans at 6.7% right now.
Sure.
That's a pretty good deal. So it looks like they brought it down a little bit, or they're going to use that new facility, that new $1 billion facility. They just floated a bond issue for this, and so possibly that bond is at 4%. If the bond's at 4%, then they could easily do this. I think at 6.7, they wouldn't make a lot, but they make a little.
Right. And that is free money.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, full margin.
Yep.
All right, so you aren't sticking a number on fourth quarter then yet for production?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
And if I was, it would go to my patrons first, Randy. You gotta know.
Yeah, that. Oh, all right. Could we say north of 500?
It's just unknowable until we see the Model 3 line turn back on.
Okay.
That's when we'll know what to expect.
All right. Okay. So is that all the breaking crazy news that you have for us, or is there any other things that you want to throw our way? Throw us another bone or two.
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Okay. Like for instance, when are we going to see a Highland?
Oh, yeah. I've got some calls out to some sources, and as soon as I know it will be made public.
Okay. And Cybertruck handoff?
We keep seeing more and more of them on the road being tested. It's exciting. It's coming. I'd say definitely this quarter.
Sorry, the new camo wrap is ugly.
Oh,
The first camo wrap was amazing. This camo wrap, not so much. Okay. All right, Brian, as always, it is phenomenal. In fact, it's amazing. It's even inconceivable
that's what it is.
that I could have
That's
you,
what it is.
that I could get you to bring your big brain onto the show and your comedic self, and that we could have an inconceivable show like this. So I'm sure you'll be back on. In fact, I think you'll be back on later this week. I'm not sure what the subject matter is going to be yet, but and then I think I'll be over on your show too.
I think that's the case.
And
that is the rumor I have heard.
Yes, I'm going to put a card right here for your complete description of what's happening at Berlin. So for those of you who want to see the entire show, and you should, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you go over there, watch the complete show, and subscribe. That'd be absolutely amazing.
I'd appreciate it.
And I'll put information down below that tells you every single way that you can follow Brian at My Tesla Weekend.
Thanks, Randy.
All right, it's been great. Oh, and then it's been great talking to you.
Smooth.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.